Hey everybody, welcome to Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Next Door Photos. I'm Patrick Braddock, owner and publisher of Cincinnati Real Producers.
And I'm Daniel Ziegler, owner of Next Door Photos. Every week, we're getting to know Cincinnati's top realtors.
Our goal is to elevate and inspire the real estate community throughout greater Cincinnati.
Okay, well today we have Heather Herr with Private Real Estate Collection. Heather is entering her 20th year in real estate, licensed since 2003. She's been the recipient of the Ohio Board of Realtors Circle of Excellence Platinum level every year since 2007 and the Ohio Board's Pinnacle President's Sales Club since 2005. She's also a certified pricing strategy advisor, a Christie's International Real Estate Luxury Specialist, and a 4-time national champion All-American athlete at The Ohio State University. Her team is ranked as the #1 small team in Cincinnati and #2 in all of Ohio by Real Trends in 2023. In the last 5 years, her team's production volume is over $380 million, and over $260 million of that is just since 2020. Welcome to the show, Heather Herr.
Thank you for having me.
I guess that signifies you as a professional.
Oh,
Golly.
gosh, I feel tired now.
I feel tired for you.
It sounds really good when it's all together like that.
Yeah.
I need an intro like that every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk about motivation right there.
No kidding.
So how's everything going?
Things are really good. I think the last time we had actually even talked a lot, I had just torn my ACL like 2.5-3 years ago.
I think you're right. That was a
So
long time ago.
that was a long time ago.
And a lot has changed over the course of 3 years. What were you doing? You were playing pickleball?
Paddle. I quit
Paddle
that. Yeah. I
My
quit.
gosh.
It
That
was
a
fun.
long time ago. So thank you for jumping on with us. This is a really cool experience because like you said, the last time we spoke, it was a total different real estate market, total different real estate outlook for your team and you and what you were doing, and a lot has changed for the good and the better for you personally and professionally. So you talked about, starting in 2003 and being a mom and everything like that. Like how did your career start and what did you do kind of before you really dove into real estate?
That's a great question. So I actually was talking about this today during a speaking series. I actually, when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was a synchronized swimmer actually, and was a state champion, then a national champion, and I got a scholarship to swim at the Ohio State University. And my parents did not have the money to send me to college, and they said, you're going to do this as your job. And I loved it. I met all of my closest friends in the world during that time. I was on the A team there and the national team, and we traveled all over the world. And so during that time, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do because I really didn't like school that much. I'm very creative, and I actually loved art. I was an artist, so my parents were like, just get a degree in art education. So then I got my master's degree, and I actually got my first job teaching high school art,
That's awesome.
which is kind of fun. And I was like 23 years old teaching high school, which was crazy. And I did not love that because I felt like I was too young to really understand. I wanted to teach grade school, but it was a great opportunity. And all of those students are still my good friends and my clients, which is kind of cool. But after about 3 years there, I wanted to make more money. So my husband at the time, we had just started dating toward the end of my career, had offered me this idea of going to this software company. They were looking for educational consultants. So I took that position. It was called Siebel Systems, and at the time, it was one of the largest CRM companies in the world. They sold to Oracle later, but it was a great opportunity. I took that position, traveled, trained large corporations. I got in front of groups, and I loved that. So that was really cool. And I did that until we ended up getting married. Then we had children. We had our first daughter, and I just couldn't travel. And they offered me a remote position, but it just wasn't as fun.
Right.
So I thought I'd just stay home.
Gosh.
And of course that lasted 14 months.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, my husband actually owned a mortgage company. It was the largest in the state of Ohio. And he said, I think you should just get your license. I could give you a deal or two, which that never did happen because, it's easier not to work that way.
Yeah.
And I got my license right away. And I just got to know everyone in my entire neighborhood. I would just walk my kids around the neighborhood, get to know everyone. I built my entire business around that, which I think is kind of old school.
Yeah.
And anything you do every single day, you will become very good at it eventually.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I just studied 300 homes every day. And I took like 10 years doing that. And I built a really great business that way.
awesome.
So
That's really
that
cool.
was stage one.
Yeah.
I honestly knew nothing about business. We talked about that today too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how women don't get educated sometimes on finance or investments. So this was all new to me, getting into that side of the business.
Yeah.
For
It'll
sure.
come to you. I hate that.
Well, I'm curious what, from your past experiences, both from, teaching art to working at the CRM company. Yeah. Like what from those experiences were you able to bring in to help you make you more successful in real estate?
I think that really in the last year, I've really found clarity in that I actually did not think that I was meant to be an educator, but now I'm coaching. And I would say that my favorite thing about what I do is coaching.
That's awesome.
So I love coaching. My kids don't listen to me for the most part, which is why I'm not their coach. But
Yeah.
but I do like taking the time. Like my agents, like I say to them, call me anytime. I love talking to them. And I think that really came through. I like motivating people. I am very creative. I still like art. So the artistic side of my business is my passion. But I also think coaching is part of that. And then part two, software. I am a little bit of a software nerd. People don't know that I'm kind of an introvert.
Yeah.
And Ellen knows that I stay up all night sometimes learning new systems every day.
Oh, wow.
So I love software and I love creating like processes and systems. So I like to perfect those things. So those two things have actually really, I think, really helped me build a good business.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the coaching part and the systems and processes part, because both of those you have to have in order to run a company. And with that being said, most real estate agents work for a brokerage where they are given tools, but they don't know how to have their own.
Let's rewind a little bit, because when I follow you on social media, and you do a great job with your social
Thank you.
media, might be a testament
help.
to
Yeah.
Ellen as well. You are one of the busiest people I think I've ever seen on social media. Like, how do you balance the successful business with raising great kids and successful athletes? How do you make that work?
That is hard. So I actually spoke about this today. I have been following a couple people like Gary Vaynerchuk and a couple other entrepreneurs online since my husband started his one company. And I learned a lot about content creation and branding. So I learned that branding yourself is important, but I also learned that as a synchronized swimmer as well, because it's not a sport like swimming as regular swimming. But I think you have to learn how to come up with a really good plan. So when I first started doing it, it could consume your entire day. But I have like several avenues that I do social media for. So I do have a team, and I have Ellen as my marketing and sales director. And we also have people that create content for us. We also have video people. So like putting all those people in positions that we know exactly what they're doing all the time, and then having a plan to execute that. So I can't be posting stuff all the time, but we do consistently say that it's very important to have that going. It is sometimes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's your work-life balance? Because it's like, I feel like we were talking pre-production that you're kind of all over the place, and even the slow days tend to be busy.
Yeah, I would say like, I think that it's been pretty good up until the multiple listing service debacle. Part of like starting a company is that we had to like reinvent things. We were doing our own things and learning. So that was a big challenge. And I am very proud that my entire team stayed together like a family. That's important to me.
That's awesome.
And we all came over, but we all had to relearn things. And we were finally coasting great and having a lot of balance. Then all this happened. We were equipped well to handle that, but I would say like there are challenges sometimes. So, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I schedule, I try to make time to say to people like, this is when I can and I can't do things.
Sure.
And it always seems to work out for the most part.
I had
Throw a little
question.
wine in there. That doesn't hurt either.
Right,
Occasionally.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't sleep a ton. I'm not a huge sleeper except for like maybe on the weekends. And I will say this much too. I used to go out and do a lot more social stuff. Networking is really important to building your brand. And I think when you're first in the business, it's really important. But I'm at the point now where I avoid networking, and that's not a good thing because I'm tired and I don't want to talk to people. So I think you really have to like find time for that too.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So I'm curious, what and maybe particularly in relation to your real estate business, what is your why, or what kind of gets you out of bed in the morning and gets you motivated?
Yeah, I ask myself that a lot. It's changing all the time, and I think my biggest thing is just I want to continue learning and growing, because a lot of times I think people have asked me, aren't you going to retire? I'm not afraid to say that I'm 51 years old. I'm starting a business when I'm 40 something years old, but I feel like I want to always work because I like learning, and my why is to build a foundation for other teams to learn from, and to actually help my team become stronger, and also be a good role model for my children with having daughters too. Because the way I was raised, my parents, they didn't understand why I worked, if I'm being honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. And my mom would always kind of look down on that, like if you weren't working. But now my parents are older. I'm very grateful that they're still both, alive and doing well. They're very proud of me, and it makes me feel really good. So,
awesome.
Yeah. There are some days I'm like, what am I doing? But, and for me, it's not really about money. I mean, money is really important, obviously. I feel very lucky now. I could retire if I wanted, but now I want to give back by doing this, by helping other people also do the same thing, because I find a lot of enjoyment in that,
Yeah, I hate when people say that it's not about the money, because everybody has to survive. Like
Right.
everybody has to make money, and you don't have to be bragging or anything like that. You can be very humble about earnings and stuff like that, which is great. But anybody who says I don't do it for the money is a flat out liar. Like
Right.
you have to work, you
have
know,
to
you
work.
have to generate
And
some
like if
sort
you're
of
losing money,
income for your family. Yeah.
right? Like I have to make sure. I will say my husband does a lot of my back end bookkeeping and all that. You have to be positive on your cash flow. You can't keep spending. I mean, I get hit up all the time by people who want me to do all kinds of stuff, and I have to be careful about that. I grew up like very conservative West Side. Parents were we didn't have a ton of money, that like just saved all the time, and they did very well. Don't get me wrong, never was lacking, but I didn't understand the value of investing and doing those kind of things. So I am very careful about how I spend my money,
For sure.
and I also want to make sure I retain my employees' positions and pay
Yeah.
them appropriately. So it's not like I'm going to the bank like, yay. I pour most of the money I make back into the business. I pay myself a very small salary every year, and I'm happy to share that with anyone.
Well, I think that's a testament to culture as well. Like retention
Yeah.
breeds good culture, breeds good workplace, Like I think that the fact that people want to work with you and work with your business is a testament to what you guys have built, and that's pretty
Appreciate
cool.
that. Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I feel very proud. I'm very proud too, because we're all very different, all the girls in the team, and come from all different types of families and backgrounds. And I think we support each other, and really that is a great thing, that having that camaraderie within the office. It's kind of
Absolutely.
like me being on a synchronized swimming team,
Yeah.
which that also kind of relates back. I mean, for people that don't know, when you do compete in synchronized swimming, there are 8 people on a team. So there's the A team and the B team. I call my team at Team Her the A team,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
more than 8. But you're in a formation and you train together.
Uh-huh.
So
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I mean, I think one of the things you have referenced and kind of we haven't really talked about, I mean, you've built your own brokerage. I mean, Private Real Estate Collection. You want to talk a little bit about that and what that
yeah,
experience
so I
like?
am not a broker. People have asked that. I don't have time to do that and serve what I love to do, which is our clients and have our team. So I did partner with a company they're based out of California. They're called Side, SIDE, who I'm very good friends with, the owner, the CEO, and absolutely love the company. It took me a long time to really understand the business. I don't think a lot of people here really understand, but it's essentially a company that helps build boutique brands side by side. So they're not saying like, we're the company, we're the brand, and we want you to be under us or part of it with our name all over it. They want you to build your own brand and help you do it,
That's awesome.
That's
which
really
is
cool.
pretty cool. So every person within the group, you have to have a doing business name in real estate. So like when I was at Coldwell Banker, and I love Coldwell Banker, but it was always Team Her with Coldwell Banker. So
Sure.
Private Real Estate Collection is the name that is not, instead of being Side, is my company name, and then Team Her is part of that.
Sure.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's pretty
that's
cool.
great.
What was I mean, you talked about starting your own, your own company and everything like that. Like, what do you see in the next 5 years with that as far as your growth and where you want to take that?
Yeah, so when I originally wrote my business plan, and we have an article that came out in the Courier, our plan was to scale the business to have like 100 teams within our brand. So we, not necessarily going too far, but like a couple teams in Ohio, a couple teams in Kentucky. We are licensed in Kentucky now. But then then going up maybe some north and then definitely down south. But what happens, I think, when the industry changes is that you have to really tighten up your personal brand and your company before you can become bigger.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So we took a little step back to make sure things were great for our team and that we could maintain our numbers too. I mean, there's not many teams that are going to do $90 million a year, and we're
Right.
a small team. So we have to be able to have that as well. So with that being said, I definitely am going to grow the company again. I'm back on the books to do that. And I think our first stop will be down in Florida because I actually have a house in Florida as well.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Sarasota
That's
area. And I am almost licensed there, but I'm not rushing,
Yeah.
you know. I want to make sure that I'm doing this the right way. I also feel like people think of like, they might think of what I'm doing like a franchise or something. It's not
Right.
like that. Because I when I think of franchising, I think of, and it's not all companies, but I think it kind of strips down like the beautiful parts of it. Like I'd like to believe that we have a boutique high-end brand, and I want to make sure that whatever company I bring in, they get the same thing and the same package from me, meaning that I have to make sure that we're ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. Have your girls ever shown interest in following your steps?
it's funny. Yeah, I get a lot of text messages from their teachers. They have great teachers, and they will tell me that they're doing projects in school, and then one of my daughters is pretending to be a real estate owner, and she has like 20 kids on the team already. I mean, it's pretty funny. They said they'll never do it, but I have a feeling one of them will.
Really?
I don't know. I swore I would never get into real estate, and my dad was in real estate when I was growing up. So funny how it all works out, but I think one of our kids will, for sure. Probably
Yeah,
not my
awesome.
oldest. You know how that goes, birth
Right.
order.
Yeah.
Firstborn knows everything.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Skylar.
Find their own path. Yeah.
And she's so smart, but they always want to do their thing. I get that, and
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe the youngest even.
Yeah, you never know.
She's very helpful too. They understand. They actually, the thing, if you're in real estate, they know that I'm working all the time.
Right.
And I will say, like, my role has changed a little bit within our company. So I'm not constantly like on the phone with clients, but I'm also helping our teammates, and they have really, they're very understanding about that. And they also look at our team like their family too.
Sure.
So that's been really nice.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I think it's interesting. If you're successful at what you do in real estate, people only see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Family members see the whole iceberg, right? So
my
it's
God.
like they get to see the ins and outs of everything that you're doing on a daily basis. So sometimes it's scary, you know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want that, Mom, you know, like,
Right. That's what my kids would say. All you do is work.
Right.
Or you're always on social media.
Yeah.
Like, I guess all their friends see me on social media and stuff too. So, but their friends love it, but they act like they don't like it. But
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
they love it.
Yeah. Would you ever expect to be where you are today, like 10 years ago?
No, it's weird because I think the last time we met, I thought I was like, yep, this is it. This is great.
Yeah.
And I actually was very proud of where we were then. But I do know my person, and which is every time I get to a certain level, I know that I want to grow. So I was getting to the point where like I couldn't grow again, and I was like, what do I do? Do I just quit and do something else? But I feel like when you do something for so long, you have to continue doing it. Like, why quit doing it? But just
Right.
change what you're doing, So I honestly did not really think this was going to happen. It was a huge risk for me to do this too, to leave comfort and a company that loved us. I mean, they were very shocked when we left.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
you set some ripples in the water, that's for
It
sure.
was hard. I mean, I absolutely love everyone I worked with there,
Yeah.
and the owners and the brokers, and we're still good friends.
Yeah.
And I give them huge props for that, because the company prior to that I was with, they did not get that same reaction. But I understand, like, people have to change, and you have to respect that. And I respect people that respect that. So
Right.
I know that if I went back and said I want to just kind of go back to this, they would take me with open arms. But I also said to myself, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going back.
That's
Sticking
awesome.
to it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that's
That's
a
so
hard thing
cool.
to do.
Well, and I think what's really amazing to me is like just getting into real estate in the first place is a big jump. It's a big leap for a lot of people. And for you to have done that and then to make this leap again, like a second leap, like you said, is a big risk. Like,
thank you.
You've done that twice. Like that's
Thank you.
Really
I've had a
noting.
lot of agents coming up to me in the last couple months, more than usual, like asking for advice on this. And I think it's hard because of the market it's changed a lot,
Absolutely.
And I'm in a different place, so it's harder for me to give advice on like what I think about that. But yeah, so I have a lot to say about that too. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's kind of one of the things that we wanted to ask too is what kind of advice would you give to, maybe it's a newly licensed agent or maybe it's just somebody that's thinking about jumping into real estate. What advice would you give to someone like that?
I wrote a lot of stuff about that on my handy piece of paper, but I'm going to just go off my mind.
So off the cuff.
So off the top of my head, I have a couple agents on my team that are new right now, and I was advised not to take a new agent on, and I actually probably would agree with that advice, but not that I'm saying I made a mistake. I'm absolutely happy with what I did. I just knew that I had to put a ton of more work into it because mentorship is huge. I think that's part one. For example, like, if I was a brand new agent, I would probably join a team because it's almost impossible to run a company. Like, you can't run an entire real estate business by yourself.
Right.
And brokers, they are not equipped, in my opinion, to help someone that's new other than just a very generic level. So you really have to be a hungry entrepreneur on your own, or you need some help. So I would say being part of a team or getting a really good mentor is huge. Education, continuing education obviously is important, but even new agents, I see it all the time. They get their license. They're like, I'm going to go out and sell everything. I can't get a listing. They're saying, I can't get it. And I'm like, it takes time.
Right.
It does take time. This business is not made that you get in the business and you start making money the first month.
Right.
It could take 6 months. It could take a year. Once you get a pipeline rolling, then you're good. My other advice is creating brand around yourself and knowing what your niche is. So one of my new agents is she speaks the language, and I said, I think that's part of your niche. You don't realize how many people here would love to connect with you about that, and she's starting to see that now.
That's awesome.
That is
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's great advice.
So I guess that kind of ties into the secret sauce of success.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, my secret sauce, I mean, these are kind of generic, but I think what has helped me be successful is that and this is a great question because today I had an event and some girl asked me, she's an interior designer and a stager, and she said, I'm getting a lot of no's, like I don't even know. And I said, I think you need to really brand yourself and you need to put yourself out there, like on social media, and tell people who you are and what you do and make it all about just what you're doing all the time. Branding yourself, because people will eventually see you and recognize that, and then look at you as the expert. So someone's not going to come to me over an agent that's been in the business 30 years that knows my neighborhood better than anyone. But if they see me constantly out there, eventually that will happen. So that would be my biggest advice. And for me, my secret sauce is that I was branding myself from early. I will say, even when I was at Coldwell Banker, they had started something new there in that office where we were branded. And I love that. That was the first time a brokerage had ever done that. And that really helped. So that's when Team Her kind of came about.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that because this is what I remember what I was going to say. You had mentioned before how when you introduce yourself, you don't introduce yourself as a real estate agent. I think that's really powerful. Like, I think that's pretty cool from a branding standpoint that people probably already understand at this point that you are a real estate agent, but there's no reason for you to have to say it because you've branded yourself in such a way that you're an entrepreneur. And I think that's, I don't know, I think that's incredibly powerful. And I think with social media and everything going on these days, empowering yourself and branding yourself is just as important as
100%
as like motivating the team or branding the team. So
it's so true. And I think too, like, I mean, I have too, like, a lot of different social media avenues, but my team is one brand, but I am also that. And like, I try to teach that to my agents, like, you have to become a brand too. So like, how do you portray yourself? Like, who is your audience and who are you talking to? Like, I always say, like, what does your audience look like? This is like my training to them. And they go, I don't know, it's the mom or it's whatever. I'm like, great. Okay. So how are you portraying yourself to that person? And I think sometimes people change. Like, I might have a brand, like North Avondale is where I live. I've been there my whole life. I had to figure out another way because there's not that many houses. I've already sold 280 houses or 300 there. So then what is the next part of my life? So it's like you have to have different ways of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's key. So my team is one, but me is one, too,
Right.
in that
That's
leadership role.
fantastic. I just picture like a spider web getting bigger, as Ellen, or as other people start to keep branding themselves and grow individually as part of the team as well. Then it's like the success is all of ours.
I agree.
Yes, you are growing yourself, and that's just as important, but it's also helping the team.
It's hard for real estate agents to let go of that, in my opinion. I think realtors have a bad reputation. Like we had an event, like I was saying earlier, where I don't walk in a room and say, I'm a real estate agent, because everyone would run the other direction.
Yeah.
But after some casual conversation, after getting to know people, I might talk about that. But I don't bring it up unless I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because it's business. It's not just real estate. It's like you do more than just sell a house. But yeah, I think that's a lot of it too. And just being able to know when to talk about it, that's key.
Well, it seems like you build yourself on relations. Like, hey, let me build myself as a relational type of person, and the rest will come.
Yes.
People want to work with who they know, like, and trust, right?
Yep.
So let me build that bond, and then if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it, right? Like,
Right.
And then we're going to sell your dad's house, your mom's, like,
Yeah, it's all
I don't
about
know.
relationships.
Yeah.
It's so true, though. I mean, it is true. Like, I actually have so many people that I have sold, 20 houses, their family members, just started
amazing.
from one conversation
It's incredible.
at a swimming pool, and they trust you. It's all about trust.
Yeah.
I will say our industry has changed a lot. So it's not the same as it was. Like the neighborhood agent maybe is not as big as it used to be. But yeah, I mean, it's always going to change.
One of the things that we like to talk about too is just in this, this market is kind of unique,
Yep.
right? And so if there's someone out there listening right now that's, maybe looking to buy or sell, or maybe they're thinking that they should wait,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to someone that's kind of thinking that or in that boat?
The market has changed, obviously, quite a bit. I mean, I worked during a recession, so I know that was really difficult, and we're not there. So I hear people complain about interest rates, but I think rates could go up, and I read something today, in fact. But I always believe that timing is about when you're ready. So, like, now's the time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you're ready. If you know your kids are going to move out of your house and you found something you love, I mean, maybe that's the right time. And it's hard to predict the future anywhere, but especially in real estate. So I always tell people, really dig deep on your personal level. Where are you right now? And where do you want to be? And let's talk about that. And we come up with a plan together. So a lot of goal setting. I love to go. I have so many appointments where I go into someone's house and we just talk. We talk about their family. We talk about their kids. I feel like it's a lot of psychology. It's not real estate. Like, I need your business.
Right.
And I will have someone call me 3 years later from that one time, say I'm ready. And part of that is being knowledgeable of the market, so that you need to have an agent that's going to help you, because I pride myself in always knowing what's going on in the market that I'm in. Knowing what the financial side of the market's like, that's a good one. Then also knowing your house really well too in the real estate world. So, like, is your house even ready? So I constantly say to someone, if you're thinking about it, let's talk about just keeping your house up to par. So if you need to do something, you can. But that would be my biggest advice. And then as far as, like, that's more of a sell side. If you're a buyer, kind of same thing, having a plan. Like, if you know you want to buy a house in Florida and your kids are going to move out, maybe start thinking about that and kind of educating yourself on areas that resale's good, or knowing where you might want to be when you retire, and those kind of things.
It's great advice. Yeah.
I have to give myself advice because I'm going to be there soon. I have a house that's too big. Our house is huge. And
You're going to be an empty nester.
a couple of years.
My
My kids are like,
gosh.
don't sell the house. But I'm like, who's going to clean it?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm starting to think about it. I'm like, we should have sold it during COVID, but, because all those prices were crazy. But honestly, I'm seeing prices staying pretty good, especially where I am. And some areas they're doing more than they were. And you're not having to go in these weird situations where you're overpaying as a buyer,
Yep.
Right.
which was terrible. So we're still good.
I guess the ultimate question, too, is where truly does your allegiance lie? With Ohio State or with Alabama?
Well, don't tell my husband, but go Bucks, because I was on the Hall of Fame there.
Well, he's a
I'm kinda-
Bearcat, too,
I know
isn't
he is. Yes,
So it's like he can't say that.
Alabama needs to kind of keep it going, because
Yeah.
I do love Alabama football games are like no other. I need to get you guys
I've
down
heard
there.
that.
It is so, like, amazing and fun, and we love going to those games. In
That's
fact, we
awesome.
were supposed to go tomorrow, but we decided not to go because we have stuff like work and stuff. But
Sure.
I have not been to Ohio State game, gosh, forever. But I'm always a Buckeye.
There you go.
But it's pretty close, though. I really love Alabama, though. I'm not going to
Do you
lie.
really?
I really do.
So what happens if your daughter goes to Tulane? We're gonna
I
be-
know. Maybe she'll go there. You know,
Tulane's
fingers
playing better,
crossed.
but
They're not great.
They're
Yeah.
they're no Alabama.
Don't tell anybody.
That's for sure.
I know.
So,
Alabama did not. The game that we went to last time, they played terrible. I
Yeah.
got so much crap for it, too. I'm like, I don't play for the team. I just sit there in the outfits, you know, and
That's funny.
and have the Bloody Marys, whatever.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, it's fun, though.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Want to wrap us up, Daniel?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure having you, Heather. I
Thank
really appreciate
you.
you
I
talking
feel
with
honored.
us, and I feel like we
Yeah,
gotta
it's
get
been
back.
great.
I
Really
feel honored to
appreciate
be
you being
here. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Like it's funny because I just go home every night and I make dinner for my kids and don't feel like I'm really that important because, you know, we're just. It's nice to be like interviewed and just talked to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
you're an
I'm
industry
very
leader,
grateful.
so
Thank you.
it's great to help
Thank you.
promote and recognize you as well.
Absolutely.
I enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank
Looking forward to seeing the big things coming down your way.
you. There you go.
Yeah.